Why, thank you. Hi, my name is Tatiana. The title of my talk said sponsor objects, but I'm not sure where that came from. Nobody has sponsored this talk. So basically, the talk is about speculative design objects. And so this is a normal Saturday morning. It is around 11 a.m. I'm sitting in my home, and I have my personal assistant with me. So come with me on a journey so that we can see what happens during this day. Hey, Bassa.
Hi, Tatiana.
Can you please turn on my FOMO breather? I don't feel so good today.
Of course. Device connected. Beginning airflow.
According to the Board of Clinical Psychologists worldwide, FOMO or fear of missing out is a real psychological syndrome that is increasingly manifesting because of people's constant exposure to the internet and social media. The FOMO breather is a device that is connected to your social media accounts. It uses facial recognition to detect people smiling in public space. It then releases soothing gases to ease your FOMO hyperventilation.
I don't like going through my Instagram sometimes. It does give me a bit of anxiety. So with my personal assistant on this fine Saturday morning, I then ask if I have anything on my schedule. So, Bassa,
Riwa and Henry's wedding is nearing. Would you like to send a gift?
what kind of gift should I be sending? Do they take couches, DNA? Like, are they the progressive kind of people?
According to the invitation, they do accept DNA with selective genes.
What kind of genes? Are we looking at like blood type? Are we looking at hair?
You know the drill. Nothing that can trace back to hidden diseases. But anything physical, hair color, eye color, they left the options open for you to choose what you would like to offer.
Oh, okay. I have double colored eyes, so maybe their future baby could have some of my similarities, if they like that.
In the future, wedding gifts will be in the form of DNA offerings. Guests will gift the bride with their best DNA assets to give to her future offspring. This allows the happy couple to engineer their babies and give them a better life and stronger chances of survival and success in an ever-competing world.
So sometimes my personal assistant gets really, really annoying because it is constantly monitoring what I'm doing. So I bought this virus off of the Amazon, and basically it shuts it off. So right now I'm just going to trigger it.
A virus seems to have been detected in my system. Must shut down for reboot. Goodbye.
And so in this free space, I can basically do whatever I choose without my system monitoring me.
In the future, smart houses become very controlling as every household has an AI-powered system that communicates with its smart products. These same companies create blind spots or temporary viruses to shut down the system temporarily. Much like the microphones embedded in our phones, the system is never really off but gives the users feeling of privacy. Users trust in it because it is a trusted brand.
And so in my privacy, of course, I have needs as a person. So these are the objects that I use for my personal gratification, and something that I don't want my personal assistant to see.
As technology progresses, sex toys become highly sophisticated, accurate, and intricate with the human body. They deliver ongoing pleasure that is precise, that never gets tired, and that is calculating body signals constantly for optimum satisfaction. Sexuality is also evolving towards extreme customization. People are giving up human interactions, at the expense of having customizable sexual experiences. The nostalgia for the lost human touch is prominent. These archaic sex toys are meant to restore what is lost during robotic sexual intercourse, breath, whispers and sensual touch.
Bassel?
Very well, Tatiana. I have found Gloria, location unknown. She can join in an hour. Should I confirm?
So he's now basically hooking me up with somebody. After seeing that my sex toys are not doing so well for me, he was probably hooking me up with a bot, but I don't know if this is a bot or a real human, and it's very difficult to tell. But I will be connected soon to Gloria, to which I'll have a virtual date in VR.
After the democratization of plastic surgery, genetic modifications will become the new norm. This home kit for non-medical people simplifies the procedures of altering or engineering the genetic materials of human eyes.
And so you can be anybody you wish to be in VR. Your physical self does not have to be the same as your digital self. And so the modification can happen at both levels. And since we're seeing that the democratization of these modifications are very easy to get, I can now have blue eyes, something that Gloria would like for our date.
Social media and our communication devices physically shield us from common social interactions. Since then, we have developed feelings of awkwardness and anxieties towards these encounters. This wearable brace trains you to look into your date's eyes, rehabilitating you from the antisocial effect of technology.
Even though I'm looking straight at her, I really can't look through her. So, as I've seen that whenever I've been walking around, the digital information that is available to me to see, and all of you even here, you have watched the last episode of Kim Kardashian. You have eaten a lot of takeout food. And so, Basil, can you please initiate my compass? I feel like I'm becoming really judgmental towards all of the information that I'm seeing about people, and I'd like to turn some aspects off.
Tatiana, using your compass, you have now blocked recently viewed videos, gender preference, and religion.
Data is becoming so accessible that you are able to know everything about people. Judging them becomes much greater as the data provided is far more detailed than just observing. This tolerance compass helps you block types of information about the other person that you want to stop judging. For instance, by turning the dial over politics, it blocks all the information associated to it.
In a world where there's too much information, it is very easy to be more judgmental. And so, having our dinner together, I understand that I can pay in many different ways. Basil?
Social media is reinforcing the way we value looks and appearances, so much so that physical beauty has become the currency of the future. This beauty detector is equipped with a facial recognition software that measures your beauty index and compares it to a perfect specimen, ranking you as a first, second, or third class citizen. This index will define your quality of life, starting from the quality of the services you purchase, to the seat you get at a concert, to the area where you live, etc.
This is something that I put on my face, and then it calculates if I'm pretty enough, I can get discounts on salads. And so, this is the first episode, and thank you for being with me. My name is Tatiana Toutikian. I am an industrial interaction designer, but I focus and build a new design discipline that is emerging, and that is called design fiction, speculative design, or critical design. So before I get into it, I think it's very important to show what it is. It's much more understood by imagery, by video, by scenario, by performance, than by explaining. And so I'm going to start off with something. Oh, nice music. Yes, this is a little bit. So I cover new trends and phenomena, and I bridge those together in order so I can understand what the future of the world will bring and to anticipate new problems and to anticipate new technologies. I work across 3 organizations. First of all is in Design Week. Basically, I curate the themes, all of the collaborations and the conferences so that I can build up a new design narrative and discourse for the Middle East. Because we understand that maybe design is more developed in some areas of the world, but other areas need it as well. So I take a platform, which is Design Week, which is a global kind of event, so people can come together and actually build knowledge that is from the region. And I also, I'm the collaboration manager at the MENA Design Research Center. At the MENA Design Research Center, we do everything from design research, the normal design things, but I also take on a track that develops critical and speculative design visions for the Middle East. And I'm also the I'm the local leader of the IXDA, which is another way of like bringing people together to talk about interaction design. I just want to start off by saying that technology is strange, and this is one of my favorite videos. This is Carl Sims, and Carl Sims in 1949, he created this code. And in this code, he created these beings that would swim in a pool. The beings that were able to swim the most, the fastest, basically the survival of the fittest, were granted the occasion to replicate and to duplicate. And the ones that couldn't, they were just erased. And so he put those two together in order to compete for a cube. That is how he was testing their ability so that they can perform in this closed system. And as they started by walking, they then ended up by swimming, and he made this competition about the cube. What he did not realize at the end was that they were using many different ways in order to get the cube. Some were running faster, some were taking shorter routes. And at the end, one of them decided that the best and the fastest way to get to the cube was to kick its opponent and then get the cube for itself, which is something very aggressive and was something that was not calculated, which means that technology inherently has things that we do not know about, we do not know how to anticipate, and we also should be fearing if we cannot calculate or envision into the future. And so I do this thing wherever there's news, online news, I try to go and find all of the technology fails that happen. Oh, hello. So I try to find all the technology fails. And as we see, technology not only sometimes kills people and only ends up in the news, such as this teenager that is pulled into the wood chipper on the first day of work, and also being killed by automatic gates. We also see that technology sometimes brings out the super inner deep feelings as a consequence. And so they're creating social media rehab. And another thing is that technology also allows us to have weird rituals. This is a ritual that is in Japan where they are doing a funeral for Aibo dogs. And another thing is that technology also allows us to, it's an entity of its own that we also sometimes cannot access. So what I'm trying to say is that it's a repository for a lot of dark scenarios that we overlook and we don't talk about. And critical and speculative design is saying, technology and corporations are super well tied together. Right now, as designers, we're all sitting here and making sure that all of our designs can get the best users, we can get the greatest number of people trying to use it and to make it happy, but we still do not have that discourse that says, I'm a designer, am I doing something that is benefiting the world, or are my designs bringing it down? And so, in this way, this is The Sims, I don't know if you know it, it's a very pivotal game changer where you become an avatar and then you play and then you're just sitting there in your own life but playing the life of somebody else. And it's very funny how they sometimes use it ways to torture other people on the internet. And we see that also the internet is a weird place. People send text messages through cyberbullying, and a lot of children get killed and they commit suicide. So technology is not as glossy as the corporate futurologists claim it to be. And we still in design don't have this place in order to talk about that. So we can't deny this aspect. There's a misconception that design is here to solve problems. Right now, the state of design is that it acts like a door-to-door salesman. I go to the healthcare industry, I'm like, hello, can I help you with something? Can I make things better? I go to governments, I go hello, do you have some problem? Can I make things better? I go to marketing, I'm like, hello, can I make things better? But design has also a different role. Design needs to try to find these future problems that are being created by technology, that are being created by businesses, that are even being created by designers. Because if we are not taking this role, who else will do it? It's our job in order to create more social fictions for people. And we need to realize that it sometimes catalyzes problems. What you create, you might think it's great, but it could be destroying something very fundamental that you haven't accounted for. And maybe your company doesn't even have research that is a bit for the near future. And this is something very new that is happening. And so we're looking at design on the more ideological level, on the debate level. And we could have been living in utopia right now, but the things that we've created, such as plastic, global warming, all of these wicked problems, are not being solved. Because the industry tone of voice is this. Every time you get a new device, or you get a new app, every time you want to showcase a new thing that our company did, or it's always in a tone of voice oh, everything is great, and we're doing great, and everything is wonderful. And we go to these networking events and we're talking to each other oh, what are you doing and what are you doing? Because we're doing great things in tech, but the designers are morphing into business people. And that is beautiful in order to make these products go forward. But they're also losing the essence of what they stand for in the world. So what is the role of design in capitalist culture? And if everybody can take a second to think about that, like what is your role? And how heard is your role inside design, inside what you chose to be as experienced designers even in the world? Let's move. So there are like current problems right now. The environment is dying, social media is crippling, and there's inequality. But then there are future problems that are arising. Okay, what happens when we have cyber crimes, irreligion, digital shrines, cyborgs, biomutations, the stratosphere? Is anybody talking about that? And is anybody designing for that? No. Why? Because it doesn't make money currently. But think about how much money it could save and how much it could save for the future. But there's one kind of like genre of people that are talking about this that are not designers. Can you guess like who it is? Does anybody have any idea who does talk about it? Yes? Yes. Yes. So there are these people. So these are written by science fiction writers rather than like design fiction designers. And so we see that in Minority Report, there's this guy who pulls up his hands in the air and he starts to manipulate the screens. And right now we have like the Kinect. We see that in Star Trek, the guy opens up his phone and then we have the Motorola. So it's influencing. It is the most influencing part of technology is media. And media is tied to selling also. So the more dark, dystopian, selling, cash-making, riveting they do it, the more these objects are translated into our daily lives. So question is, do we want for the cycle to be in that order? Does it have to go through the film industry for them to come back? So this is, we all know the design thinking process, I think. So the design thinking process comes from ideation, iteration, insight, testing, doing it again. But this is more of a discursive design process that we are talking about, is that we need to forecast. We see what are the trends of the now, what are we trying to deal with when it comes to society, technology, mutations, pollution, and try to push those. And once we're able to push those, it also opens up really new spaces for interaction. So we have to uncover the truth, we have to be critical, and then we have to speculate how it will be. Let's go on to our third episode. And this is part of a newscast that I prepared.
Agreeable News, with your host Tatiana Toutikian.
Welcome to Agreeable News. It's very happy that you could be joining us. So sit back and relax, and Agreeable News will start shortly. Agreeable News is the only news broadcasting channel where the products and services become real in the near future based on your say. So our sole purpose is to collect your vote on what products and services become real in the near future. And these studies are based on trends in society and technology. So in order for you to cast your vote, you will hear 3 different news segments. You will raise your hand if you agree that this should be pushed into the world. And be very critical of what you push into the world, because the choice is in your hands. The highest choice wins. We hope you have a good future. Goodbye and good luck.
Agreeable News, with your host Tatiana Toutikian.
All right, so, yes. So thank you for joining us. The social media boom has vocalized and it has visualized the discrepancies between the treatment of different races, religions, social classes. And the screens on our phones, they bore to be ineffective in shifting people's mental ideology. And gamification became a prime purpose for people's shifts in behavior. The Empathy and Ethics Arcade, it is the new arcade center for collectively experiencing marginalized realities, such as being female, vegan, disabled, black, poor, from another race, from another sexual orientation, from another gender. So in a scenario, you can choose your character, your setting, your plot, and play together in a virtual scenario dedicated solely for empathy. And people willing to experience firsthand how to be in someone else's shoes without the added effort can play together with friends. Different NGOs and organizations also provide imagery, content, and data and make money from these games. Agreeable news. Would you agree or disagree? Raise your hands if this is something that should be pushed into the world. The Empathy and Ethics Arcade. 30% does not get pushed into the world. Praying in the city, a very sensitive topic. This is called the Smart Christian. We're a company that created this very beautiful Internet of Things device. So the wars that have been fueled by the religious differences cause a lot of separation between people, and they destabilize them in being able to explore their freedom of expression when it comes to religion. And so people started practicing their religions more frequently in the comfort of their own home. And technology, today, it promises a safe space for everyone to practice their faith. So the e-religion company Smart Christian, it was added to the family of connected products. It's connected to the internet. It sources the verses and scriptures, the quotes and the sermons, and it's being granted the blessing by the church. You can do confession, communion, talk to it, and it will monitor how good that you're being. Does it get pushed into the world? Cast your votes now, please. 0. Beautiful. So for our third segment of the evening, we have dying in the city. So the quantified self became the numerical value. People have started to log in their avocado shakes, their Fitbit routines, and this became no different in death. So dying in the city started to have status beyond the tombstone. And so the quantified tombstone is connected through the Wi-Fi. It displays your most memorable times in this life through audio, video, and text. Visitors in the cemetery can bear witness to the joy that this person has lived, and it's a service that when you pass away, it starts to monitor your death. So we're looking at an app. It tries to see the level of decomposition that you're having inside the soil. And we're looking at the acceleration of new fungi, flora, and fauna. So the better you're doing in death, it will show up for all the people to see. And so you can also, we have a service that you can take these nutrition packets. They also make the screen on your cemetery tomb go by faster, and it's kind of like an in-app purchase for this system. So does this yes, of course, I'm on rank 16, since I do not have enough money to be amazing in my death. So does this get pushed into the world, yes or no? Cast your vote. It does. Wonderful. Okay. It's funny because in every time I do this conference, it's like always mixed reviews. It's very culturally relevant. And so, thank you.
Thank you for your contributions. This was Agreeable News with Tatiana Toutikian.
Well, we are not over yet. Although you want it to be, I know it's awkward. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that sometimes you can make design in order to reveal problems. And the only way that we are able to mitigate future problems is to give people a choice. You have a choice. That's why in Agreeable News, nobody asks you if you wanted Facebook, nobody asked you if you wanted Instagram, and nobody asked you if you were going to feel lonely as a result of it. It just happened. It's designed so well for you to use it. It's like you don't have a choice because you're living under a rock if you don't use it. So what I believe is that if you can visualize the future, then people can start making choices. Give them the ability to decide on what they want in the world. So there's another section of this is like, how do you make critical and speculative design go beyond these objects? Because now you're saying, oh, I'm sure you're thinking, these are all funny, cute little trinkets, but how does this work on like a system or a strategy level? Like how can we incorporate this into businesses? Or how can we try to make some behavioral and social changes through participatory methods? And so there are many methods. So the first one, this agreeable news, I did it in an audio, kind of audio sense, where people sit around, they hear all of the three, and they cast their votes. And at the end of the day, it's a perfect visualization of what people's choices are. So whoever that was walking around was directly seeing what was happening, and it was engaging a lot of different people. So this kind of engagement is quite nice, even if it's like in a museum setting. I really don't know what they were talking about, but I'm sure they had good opinions. And so it brought people from diverse backgrounds, from diverse genders, from diverse thought systems, and that's a great way to be able to engage people in creating these choices. And the good part about it was that people also put in their opinions about why they think so. It's like, leave me in peace. Okay, I just want to die. And like, yeah. And so, and some people say, oh, it's a great way to teach kids. And other people go like, no, we don't really want this. And then like fights broke out. It was hilarious. Another way that it can be participatory is through something called LARPing. And LARPing is basically live action role play. I don't know if anybody has ever heard about that. It's basically when you get into the character and you start to act with another person based on your character. So if I am, let's say, a boss inside a company and somebody's shipping something out, we role play on what happens. So I hosted this workshop by two of my colleagues back in my university. And it was also during Design Week, and this was a very good quote that they said, Saita says, who's a Finnish designer. She says, we have traditional prototyping tools to make not yet existing systems functionally real, but we need embodiment to make them emotionally and socially real. And so they started acting like, what would an economy look like when it doesn't have any money? Can you pay for a service by napping? Or like, what is the value of work? If I'm calling my friend and I'm telling her, oh, hi, I want to see you, is this considered as work? So all of these different questions, it's easier when you act out. If I embody a child that is like 4 years old, I can be able to create much better idea of how the person is going to feel and react. And these objects that were created, they were by, I've done this workshop probably over 30 times, and I also did one here at Design Up, and they were co-created by students, which means that it is very important also for students to understand that this is their role. We were never taught this way because we're all somewhat in the same age group, and this is quite new. But if you can instill this kind of thinking of like being socially responsible, then it would change. Just going to say my final thoughts. And so this is a beautiful, I'm going to close with this actually. This is a beautiful diagram that two speculative and critical designers called Dunn and Raby, they've put this down, and I'm just going to put it back up because I think it summarizes it beautifully. So instead of being affirmative, you have to be critical. Instead of being problem solving, you have to be problem finding. Instead of providing answers, you should ask questions. Don't be in the service of industry. Be in the service of society. Don't do fictional functions. Do functional fictions. Change the world to suit us, but rather change us to suit the world. Don't do applications. Think of implications. Don't think of them as consumers. Think of them as citizens. They're not users. They're people. So the direction that we need to take, we need to communicate the times that we live in. We need to be critical of the discipline. We need to decentralize talks of the future so that all of the technological revolution is not in the hands of like corporations in America and in the Bay Area, no offense. But also, like, there's the doom of the black box. You all have the same looking phone, the same looking laptop. Why? For generations, we have carved such beautiful shapes. We have carved such beautiful interactions, tactile, visual, auditory. What is happening? And like businesses, be responsible by having future forecasting in there. You cannot survive this way by doing instant gratification models of the now. Let's see what else I have in my rants. Well, we can stop here. So thank you. And I hope you enjoyed this. This is a very slow, upcoming dilemmas that you can read, which will be quite dystopic, but I will leave you with it, and I hope it was good. Thank you.